KP classes dedicated to excellence.
So let us begin with the session for today. So today's session is more of an introduction, which will give you an idea as to how to proceed with the further 6 months of preparation for the GATE examination. We are left out with approximately 6 months for GATE 2025 for the first week of February. So what is it you should do in these months? How should you strategize your preparation? If you're just starting your preparation right now, what is it you need to keep in your mind in order to cover the entire syllabus? That's what the focus mainly will be in today's session. Any doubt during the course of the session, you can put it into the chat and I will respond to you as well. Or will even if not uh, at the same instant, I will at least take up your questions towards the end of the session. The webinar will be approximately 1 hour long, and the content we are going to discuss in this session for today will include firstly about the strategic study planning, where we'll mainly look into the analysis of the syllabus mainly the official syllabus and understanding the subjects for your examination. How many subjects should you prepare? So, brief on that, which will help you prepare a study plan to effectively cover the entire syllabus in the remaining time. Then we will also look into and here in the subjects we will also look into the weightage distribution for the past 2 years at least in GATE 2023 and GATE 2024. What has been the distribution of weightage across these subjects? There are 24 plus 25 subjects approximately. So the distribution of weightage for all these 25 subjects, which are there any subjects of importance? Can you identify any outliers? Are there any subjects which are less important? We'll have a discussion on that to help you strategize your preparation accordingly. However, let me tell you in the beginning itself, there is no fixed weightage for any particular subject as such, but we'll have a discussion for the 2 years. We'll see the trend at least and see if we can come up with any observation over there. I hope the slides are clear. Whatever is written, that is clear, and I hope there's no disturbance as to understanding what is being written. Uh, so, moving on to the next aspect, we will be looking into some free resources which everyone preparing for GATE examination should always have with them. So, these free resources are accessible on our the KP GATE classes mobile application. If you are Android user, that's the name of our mobile app, KP Gate Classes. You can download that mobile app. We have so we have uploaded the free resources over there, which you can always have for your access. I will talk about that. What are the resources which everyone has to have always, and how to access these resources, and what to study from those resources mainly. We'll have a discussion on that. In the second area, if you are iOS user, you can download Class Plus app, or you can contact your counselors if you have any doubt in accessing the content. So let me move on to the next point. So the third aspect we'll be focusing on is understanding about the numerical answer type questions, which is important from scoring well in the examination. That will be the next aspect. The webinar, it will be in English because there are students from across the country. So the session will be in English. I hope everyone is fine with that. So revision, the next aspect we'll be focusing on is revision, the prerequisites. So revision is important for the GATE examination, which you will do in the month of January. But right now, obviously, I'm not going to tell you how to revise things. We are just starting the preparation at this point of time. So what are the prerequisites which you need to keep in mind? What are the things you should have handy by the month of January so that you can have an effective revision of things? So, in simple terms, you will study a lot of content in these 6 months. So, how to retain that information? How to effectively revise that? What should you keep in mind in order to properly revise? We'll have a discussion on that. We'll then look into the performance analysis and tracking. How can you track your progress and what changes during the course of preparation? If there is any update you want to make into the pattern, how should you look into those updates and what else should be done in the course of your study? And then we will finally look into a brief on the colleges and the admissions after the GATE examination. What all options do you have? Briefly on that. We have a separate session. Generally, the colleges and admission discussion, we will have it in the month of February after the GATE examination. We'll have a detailed post-GATE counseling session But right now, I will give you an overview as to what are the groups of colleges and a broad idea on this in the last year. So that's an overview of the session in this one hour. These are the points we're going to focus on. So let me first discuss about the syllabus and the subjects, and also let us look into the weightage of the past 2 years to understand if there is any pattern you can observe and we can identify, and is there any topic of importance which we can identify. So if you look into the official syllabus, there are three parts: common part, architecture part, and planning part. In the common part, there are a total of 7 sections. You can see these are first four and then three more sections, four, five, six, and seven. There are 7 sections in the common part. Architecture part, you have 3 sections: B1, B2, and B3, B1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Similarly, you have 3 sections in the planning part: 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. These are the 7 sections you have in the official syllabus. So before I tell you about it, I hope you are aware that in the examination, there will be 4 parts. There will be general aptitude, which everyone has to attempt. Then you will have a common part, which will include the topics of architecture and planning. This also all of you have to attempt. Then under part B, you will have an option. You can either select architecture part, which is B1, or planning part, which is B2. You will have an option to select any one. Now, the rank, however, it will in your gate scorecard finally, it will be mentioned which part you have selected. However, the rank will be common, so it's not like you'll have a separate rank in the architecture part and separate rank at the planning part. No, the ranks are not, or the gate score is not separate for both. You will have a common scorecard with this common ranking system. Just that it will be mentioned on the scorecard which part you have attempted. Now, how will that impact your admissions later on? Let me tell you one thing. As far as the selection of architecture or planning is considered, most of the colleges they have no specific mention. Like if you want to go into M-Plan, there is no college which has specified that you have to attempt the planning part. There's only one college, that is IIT Kharagpur, where to get into MArch it is mandatory for you to select the architecture part, that is B1. Exception for that college, no other college, even MArch at Roorkee, there is no such rule. Even if you select the planning part, you can get into MArch at Roorkee. So there's only one exception, that is IIT Kharagpur's MArch course. It is compulsory for you to select the architecture part, that is B1, if you want to get into it. For all other colleges, any part you select, it will not impact your admission later on. Keep that in mind in the beginning itself, because some students, without knowing this point, if you are targeting for MArch at IIT Kharagpur, which is a sustainable engineering, a sustainable building practices course, MArch with sustainable architecture specialization, that's a new course in IIT Kharagpur. If you want to get into it and you ended up selecting the planning part, you'll not be eligible for that particular post. Keep that in mind in the beginning itself. So that's about the overview. Let us look into the details of the subjects now, the syllabus. So if you look into the if you look at the official syllabus, which is also available on this year's GATE 2025 portal, is already live. It is being conducted by IIT Roorkee, and the official syllabus of this year's GATE also is updated. There is no change in the syllabus. It is the same syllabus as the last 2 years too. So if you look into this syllabus, there are many subjects. Like for example, if you observe into the section 7, you have a mention of water supply over here, water supply and distribution systems. The same mention of water supply you will also find in section B 1.3 in the architecture part. You again have the mention of same topic, water supply. Similarly, sewage systems, sewage and drainage systems is mentioned in the architecture part. You also have sewage disposal methods and sewage and drainage systems in the services part of common part as well. There are many subjects which fall into both the common section and also the architecture core section. Similarly, for planning part, urban planning, some part of it is included in the common part. The advanced topics of urban planning are included in the planning part. So there are no rigid boundaries, and there are always, like if I give you an example, structures is something which is mentioned in the architecture part, the structural systems and structural analysis, principles of pre-stressing and all these. So however, there was a 2 marks gate question in last year's paper in gate, so actually this year 2024. So there was a 2 marks question from structures asked in the common part actually. So there are no rigid boundaries. You can always get questions in the common part from topics of architecture also, or from topics of planning technique management also. So we strongly advise everyone preparing for the exam to study all the subjects. That will give you a comprehensive preparation, because boundaries are not rigid in the examination, and you cannot contest those questions on those lines ki this was out of syllabus. That is not considered for marks being awarded to all. Marks are awarded to all only if it is an incorrect question, There is no boundary for any topic. There are sometimes questions asked from topics which are not directly relevant or related to architecture also, but you cannot contest those questions. So keep that in mind. So if I look into the, because of this main reason, we at KPGate classes, we follow a subject-wise approach rather than studying section-wise. Our focus would be of a study where we complete a given subject, be it under architecture, planning, or common part. We every subject we take up, we do it in a comprehensive manner in a single stretch. That's the best way to study the subjects in a conceptual manner. So if I give you an overview on the subjects under section, you can section one, that is architecture, planning, and design. Broadly speaking, you can say there is one subject over. So here you have standards, graphics, and all these. So let me mark the first subject. Let us say that is architectural graphics and computer aided design or computer applications in architecture. So that's one topic. Now, that's one of the subjects which we are going to study. Other than that, as far as codes and standards are considered, standards are disintegrated into every, like fire safety standards are discussed under fire safety subjects. Housing standards or residence based standards are taught in the housing chapter. So we do it, elevators, escalator standards are taught in elevator, escalator subjects. So standards, we already do cover it across various subjects. So I'm not marking it as a separate subject. Subject number two, under the second section, you mainly have project management, estimation and valuation, and then you have the basics of structures. So here it is just written as form and structure. But question, as I told you, was asked on structural analysis on shear force, bending moment, shear stress, bending stress. That numerical was also asked in the GATE 2024 paper in the common part. So if I mark the subjects, you have project management, which is a common part subject. Then you have estimation, which is a common part subject, estimation and valuation. I'm writing. Valuation is actually included over here in the section 6, real estate valuation, but we study it along with estimation generally. And then you have structures. Structures, only the basic part is in the common part. Advanced part of the structures or structural analysis is in the architecture part. So that is the fourth subject. As far as environment topic is considered, here again you have two more subjects. Under section 3, you have environment. That is understanding about ecosystem, ecology, environmental pollution. All these are included in the subject of environment and ecosystems. Then you have climatology. Again, climatology, only the basic part is in the common part, the climate responsive design part. That is under the understanding what is climate, climate types, climate responsive design. That's in the common part. The advanced studies of climatology, including U value calculations and all, that is included in the architecture part. However, questions in the past from advanced climatology topics are also asked in the common part sometimes. So you can, so wherever there are topics which I mentioned basic, you cannot draw a boundary. This is basic and from here it is advanced. So it is always advisable to study the complete subject. Moving on to section 4, seventh subject, you have as the name such as urban design and conservation. Then you have landscape. There are two subjects over here, urban design and conservation. We study conservation along with urban design. Then you have subject number 8, that is landscape architecture. So, as I told you, so these are 8 subjects till now. The detailed syllabus, as I told you, is already available on the official website of GATE. I hope you're able to follow whatever I'm explaining. Moving further, can you please give me a confirmation? Are you able to understand and is it visible, whatever I'm mentioning and writing and the broad headings? Probably the details might not be so visible, but I think overall you're able to understand. Thank you. Moving further, so subject number 9 under the section 5, that is planning process, you have urban planning mainly. So let me mark that as subject number 8, urban planning. So this exercise of disintegrating the official syllabus of 13 sections into these 24 or 25 different subjects, that is the first step in your preparation. So that's what I'm helping you do over here. Ninth one is urban planning, which also includes the standards of URDPFI guidelines and so on. Then you have the chapter of housing or section of housing under this subject number 10, that is urban housing. And housing also just the basic part of it, some topics of it, like what I mentioned, concepts, principles of neighborhood, residential densities, and high housing typologies. This is included in the common part. Advanced topics of housing and schemes of it are included in the planning part. However, questions from that part can also be asked over here into the common part. Moving on to the 11th subject, under the last topic here, you have various minor subjects. There are a lot of minor subjects over here. Minor as in something which is not very lengthy, like, for example, history of architecture, that's a lengthy subject. Or let us say, for example, planning technique management, that's a lengthy subject. Urban planning is a bit lengthy subject. But subjects like fire safety, elevators, escalator, these are minor topics. So let me mark the subject. Subject number 11, you have fire safety. Then you have building safety security system, which is included into it. Then you have water supply, subject number 12. The basics are included in the common part. It is also included in the architecture part also. Number 13, you have sewage and drainage. Let me write it as sewage treatment or sewerage systems. Sewage treatment, disposal, all that is included along with drainage part. That is sewerage systems. Then you have solid waste management over here. The methods of solid waste management, collection and all. Solid waste management, that is subject number 14. Then you have subject number 15, the remaining topics over here, that is including the basics of transportation. Advanced part of transportation is included in the planning part, the basics of transportation. So many topics, like I told you, are in my, like even what all these topics of fires, of water supply, sewage treatment, solid waste, these, not solid waste management, but at least these two, water supply and sewage treatment, this is in the architecture part also, along with the common part. Housing and urban planning are in the planning part also, along with the common part. So you have to remember that there are many topics which have that overlapping gray area. That is 15 sub. So as an overview, in the common part, which has the maximum weightage in the gate examination, that is 60 marks. Out of 100 marks in the exam, 60 marks will be from the common part. As an overview, you can remember there are 15 topics. So out of all 25 subjects, 15 subjects, that is majority of the subjects are in the common part itself. Moving further to subject number 16, you have history of architecture and contemporary styles. Even though this is a topic mentioned in the architecture part, from the time that the exam pattern has changed, that is from the year 2022, every year there are questions from history and contemporary architecture asked in the common part also. Because in common part, everything basic about architecture and architectural design is a part of it. So broadly speaking, anything you study with respect to history and contemporary styles, particularly architects and the works, that can be included in the understanding of architecture, which is something which has been asked always in the common part. Always there is at least 1 2 marks question in the common part from architects and the works and contemporary styles asked in the common part of the syllabus. So you have to keep that in mind. Don't think that this is just architecture subject. History, however, can be limited to the architecture part, but at least architects and the works and general understanding of architectural styles, that is important for common part also. So that is included in this particular section. Mainly subject number 17 over here, you have building materials and building construction. Under architecture part, you have building materials and then building construction. So after the change in the pattern from the year 2022, if so, even though the pattern of the exam has changed drastically, the importance or the preparation style is not equally different. So you have to study all the subjects, but there are some points which have changed. Like for example, building materials and construction. Before 2022, these subjects had a higher weightage, but after the change in the pattern, particularly building materials and construction, I'm not talking about history because, as I told you, history questions and contemporary architecture part can be asked into the common part as well. Building materials and construction, generally, the questions from this topic have reduced in number because earlier, before 2022, when there was a common paper for everyone, architects and planners, these subjects had a relatively higher weightage of approximately 5 to 6 marks every year. But that has seen a downtrend. Approximately 2 to 3 marks is what you can expect generally now, because for the architecture part or planning part B, the part B, the weightage is a bit less. Only 25 marks is the weightage now. So relatively, there are fewer questions. That doesn't mean that you should leave these subjects. It's easy to cover, in fact, these subjects because they're not very vast. So you can draw your boundaries, how much to study. Even in classes, withdraw burden of building construction in itself can be a very advanced topic where you can study at least 40 to 50 hours. But we'll limit ourselves based on the importance, relative importance in the examination, based on the past trend, based on the areas from which questions have been asked in the past, and based on what is mentioned in the official syllabus, we draw a boundary as to what you need to study, and we'll limit ourselves to 12 hours or so, 12 to 15 hours instead of studying 40 to 50 hours. So even in your self preparation, that is what you need to do. Understand the relative importance of subjects and accordingly limit yourself and prepare a timetable as to how much to spend on every subject. Other than that, in this you have structural systems. I'm not writing or mentioning the subject of structures again because I've already mentioned the subject of structures over here under subject number 4. So if I'm talking about individual subjects, there are 18 subjects till now. Then you have structures. Under this last part, you have climatology, which I have already mentioned, so I'm not writing it again. Other than that, you have visual and acoustic comfort, which includes lighting and also acoustics part mainly. Subject number 19 is lighting, and subject number 20 is acoustics. So these are included in the architecture part. And there is one more subject which you can remember, air conditioning systems. 2 marks question on air conditioning was asked in the common part, even though it is mentioned in the architecture part here. Question was asked in 2022 paper in the common part as well. So let me mark 21 subject, that is HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. And finally, elevators and escalators. That probably is written over here. It is behind. So let me mark 22, elevators and escalators. So these are the 22 subjects. So if you see in the architecture part, you have multiple subjects. In planning part, most of the subjects are overlapping with already common part. But here you have some additional topics. Most of them are minor topics like lighting, acoustics, HVAC, escalators. These are not very lengthy topics. History is a bit lengthy. Building materials and construction is lengthy, but you can limit yourself on the study and efforts you put into because it doesn't have a huge weightage like it used to have before 2022. As so we are done till subject number 22. Now moving on to subject number 23, and actually if you want you can write down the subject of electrification also over here. In this there is this topic of electrification as well. I think it is behind this over here. So let me just mention electrification. A very minor topic again. Now, if you look into last 35 years, I think from electrification, you will hardly find 10 questions. So on an average, one question every 3 years or so. Question, even last 2 years, 2022, 2024, not a single question was asked from electrification. So it's not a major subject, but it is in the syllabus. That is 24, 23, 24th subject. So urban planning, we have already included in the common part. Not writing again. But this portion, a major part of the planning part, and the subject which is the most lengthy and has the highest weightage in the planning part, that is subject number 24. That is planning technique management, which includes understanding of GIS, various types of survey, understanding urban economics, understanding urban say self-governance, understanding various acts like public-private partnership, land acquisition act, also infrastructure projects, land information, urban geography, and equity in planning. So there are various advanced topics under planning technique management, which is a bit lengthy subject. And again, questions from this part are asked from the core topics, in-depth topics also in the examination, because that's the major part of the planning part, which mainly is taught to the graduates of planning level. So that's the 24th subject. Transportation, again, I have already included in the common part, so I'm not writing it again. 25th and final subject is not in this portion, that is common to everyone. Let me mark over here. That is general aptitude. So this is the first step of your preparation, disintegrate. I think for those who have just started your preparation, this should help you to understand the overall syllabus and breaking down into subjects, understanding what is into the common part and what is into the architecture part. Those students who are already enrolled into our classes or those who are getting enrolled in the newer batches, also you will be shared with a detailed analysis, a PDF of the document with the complete list of these subjects and tagged with it's a table where you also have a tagging of every topic as to which section it comes under, which part it comes under, so that accordingly you can strategize your preparation. Now, moving further, so as I told you, after the change in pattern, these are the topics you can relatively consider. So you do get questions, but these are limited to the architecture topics. So you can have an idea and just see which part is more suitable for you. So you need not make a final decision which part to attempt right now. There are advantages in both. Like, for example, the major advantage of planning part is of these three sections, two sections are completely already, more, or at least the basics of it are already into the common part. You just need to study the advanced topics of it. But again, there's a huge topic of PTM with advanced topics which you need to put in a lot of efforts in. But if you feel that time is a constraint, or if you already know these remaining topics, and if you want to just focus on one part, then you can select the planning. But that's the advantage of this section. Whereas architecture part, if you're particularly from architecture background, which most of the students attending for GATE exam are, if someone is for planning background, we strongly recommend that you can focus on these topics instead of studying history, structures, such stuff. But if you're from architecture background, it will be more easier for you to study these topics, even though it's a bit lengthy and extra efforts you put in. And the major advantage you will get in addition to that is once you prepare all these topics, these subjects are major subjects in the other requirement tests other than GATE also. So even though you're preparing for GATE this year, your preparation should be suitable for your examinations in long run, including DDA, SO, UPSC, other state public service commission examination, BPSC and all. So all these state examinations, whatever I have listed, be it ISRO, DDA, UPSC, BPSC, HPSC, which is a upcoming exam, all these requirement tests will include all these topics, and a major part of the questions will be asked from these topics also. So if you have a long run vision for your preparation, you should not leave out architecture part for sure. But if your focus is only on the say examination of GATE, and if you're from planning background, then you can right away go. Other than that, we recommend to study every topic of all the 25 subjects so that you're in a state to make a decision in the examination. Once you look at the question paper, you can select whichever is scoring part for you. So if you look into the past few paper last year and the year before it, if you look into the past papers, let us have a brief idea on that. Should we solve? Absolutely, yes. You have to solve the questions of past GATE exam papers at least for 10 to 15 years. You should at least solve last 10 to 15 years of paper. That is very important for your preparation for GATE examination. Even though the topic division and all was not same before 2021, but you still need to solve the past GATE questions. PTM is planning techniques and management. It's written over here. Planning techniques and management. That in short, I'm writing as PTM, which includes these topics which I have just discussed over here. Now, moving further to the weightage of the past few years, and particularly this is the weightage distribution of the last year's paper, that is 2024 February, this year's paper, you can say. Just try to see what are the portions from which major questions have been asked. So these are basically what you see over here. That's the marks, not the percentage. Total of 125 marks, even though the exam is 100 marks, because you have architectural planning part both where you need to select any one. This distribution is for 125 marks. Of 125 marks, something which is constant every year. So the distribution might change. If you see the 2023 pattern, it is very different. But something which you always see is general aptitude having that fixed weightage of 25. General aptitude weightage of 15 marks. That is something which is fixed in the paper. So never neglect the importance of general aptitude. That is something which you have to remember because it has a weightage of 15 marks, which will be from 10 questions. These 10 questions will include verbal ability, quantitative ability, spatial ability, and reasoning. There are four topics within general aptitude. Reasoning part, spatial ability, where you have say 3D formation, counting figures, or say mirror image and water image based questions. That is included too. Other than that, you have verbal ability, basic English, and also quantitative ability, that is basic math. So all these topics, you'll have 10 questions, 15 marks, that is fixed in every gate paper. The only way you can do well in this part is with practice. There is no other shortcut. Topics are not at all difficult. Everything is probably 10th or maximum of +2 level, +2 standard. So maths part also, which you get in the general aptitude, it is just of uh, Rajat, yes, that's what I told. If you're from planning background, you can, if possible, at least learn the basics. You can for sure skip. At least you can attend the classes if you're in the classes, or otherwise, you should at least focus on the basic preparation. The reason because I told you there are questions asked into the common part from these topics also. 2023, 2024 paper, there was a 2 marks question from structures into the common part. So that way, it is advisable to not leave completely. At least learn the basics. That should be helpful. Sanika, yeah, welcome to the revision part. So I was telling you about the general aptitude. So this portion, it's not at all difficult, but you need to have a consistent preparation on it. So remember this for the upcoming 6 months, every day, whatever question papers you're solving, whatever book you're studying, or whatever subject you're covering, irrespective of everything, a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes every day. So because general aptitude is not something which you can sit and do it in say 1 or 2 days completely. You should have a continuous preparation on it. The maximum you can do, just take up any gate paper. Last 10, 15 years of question papers are already available on the gate portal. You can go on to this year's gate website. Under download tab, you will find the past question papers. Just download those question papers of all the branches, because general aptitude is common for all the branches, not only for architecture. So any branch question paper, it's of same level, same syllabus. The general aptitude part is common for everyone. So even for example, let us say the gate exam, gate architecture is being held on the first Saturday of February. The date is not finalized, but as an example, it is the first Saturday. Whoever is writing examination on that first Saturday of February, whichever department, they can be from civil engineer, mechanical background, they'll get the same question paper of general aptitude. So in gate examination, general aptitude paper is not decided branch wise, it is decided session wise, date wise. So for a given date, for a given session, everyone will have the common paper. So solve the general aptitude papers of last 10 years of all the branches, whichever you can find different question papers. Probably 10 to 15 minutes, you can solve 3 or 4 questions every day. So that continuous preparation, mainly from past gate papers, that is important. If you're done with past gate papers, there is no scarcity of practice questions of general aptitude on the internet, or even if you're enrolled into our test series, you will find a lot of test series questions also. Uh, no, Darshit, you cannot select a date. The date will be announced. Which date the exam of architecture will be, that will be announced. You cannot make a selection. Syllabus, will it be complete? Absolutely, Suryamani. The syllabus will be completed. 6 months is good enough amount of time. Majority of the students do spend their preparation from this month, from the month of June and July itself. Majority of them start their preparations, and that is sufficient enough. But you need to have a continuous effort on daily basis. That is important. So that's about general aptitude. Other than that, if you look at the remaining subjects, you see there's a huge peak coming out. That is 18 marks. That's the subject of urban planning in last year's paper. Now, that doesn't mean every year urban planning will have a huge weightage. If you look into 2023, urban planning had a very low weightage of just 5 marks. So nothing is fixed, but you can observe in general the peaks are coming out from history of architecture. Now, this is majorly in the architecture part, then urban planning. Estimation and valuation is one of those subjects. If I tell you the important subjects from numerical point of view, so there will for sure be numerical questions in the gate paper. In the common part, subjects with numerical importance are very limited in number. Estimation and valuation is one of those. Construction management is the second. Then you have landscape architecture, that's the third. Housing, most importantly. So these are some subjects: construction management, estimation, and landscape housing. These are four topics from numerical point of view where you need to have a special emphasis, because it is very highly unlikely, like even if you look into 2022, 2023, 2024, there is no question paper without a 2 marks numerical from construction management. There is no question paper without a 2 marks numerical from estimation valuation. These are topics from which you will for sure get a 2 marks numerical. So especially you have to have an emphasis on the numerical topics of those areas, because other topics of common part like environment, climatology, urban design, these are predominantly theoretical in nature, the subject itself. So that's something you have to remember. So accordingly, you can have a look and see what are those topics. Other than that, transportation, particularly for those who are preparing for part B2, that is planning part, transportation is going to be very important. Even 2023 transportation, you can see 13 marks of weightage was seen. But majority of the questions of transportation will be in the planning part, not in the common part will have less number of questions. Will gate exam be helpful for government jobs, Parvati? Yes, there are PSUs like airport authority which recruit directly through gate score, but that opening is not every year. Whenever there's an opening, you can apply for it. Each and every subtopic coming under each subject, and Sure, you need to cover in a comprehensive manner. You need to cover every subtopic of every topic. That should be your preparation if you're doing it right now. If you're just preparing for last 1 month, then I would say just practice the past gate papers and just have an overview. But if you are targeting for the best rank with a thought to get into the best colleges like IITs, and if you're having a full preparation, then you should not leave, or you have to have a detailed conceptual study of every topic. We'll discuss that also, Bharat, about NBC. Please mark topic wise for Ave Priya. This is what that chart is. This is for 2020 four question paper. This is 2024 question paper, the weightage of the topics, subject wise, the mark distribution. That's what this is. How many hours should we study with it? Depends on your personal availability of time, but I think a good amount of time for 6 months preparation would be something like 3 hours per day. On an average, 2 to 3 hours should be three. Again, it depends from person to person, but 3 hours I think is an optimum amount of time if you're doing it on continual basis on day-to-day time for the next 6 months. There are topics like electrification. There are no questions from these topics also, like HVAC also, there was no question in 2023 question paper. So every year the pattern changes, but you can do this analysis yourself too. I already gave you the list of 25 subjects. Try to pair it with the weightage distribution for last 2 or 3 years, and you can also uh, decide on the topics and strategize accordingly. This exercise, instead of even though I did prepare this histogram and put it over here, it will be very advisable for you to do it yourself, because that will give you a better understanding of the question paper. Someone is also asking about particular numerical weightage on topics that you should spend some time, 15-20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour of time on one gate paper, have an understanding, then prepare your own, just understand what are the topics, try to do it from your end. That will really be helpful, rather than just me directly pointing out. So that was about the preparation strategy. So I have already noted, I have mentioned some topics, however, construction management, estimation, urban housing and landscape, numerically important topics. Then theoretical part important from history of architecture. That is something which is urban planning in itself is an important topic. General aptitude, continual preparation. That is something you have to remember. Time. Shreya, so IIT Roorkee is conducting institute, but they do not individually prepare the question paper for the exam. It is a very huge misconception that the conducting institute will prepare the gate exam paper. No, that is not at all true. Last time when IIT Roorkee has conducted, what the pattern or level of the question was, that doesn't govern how it will be this year. So that is a very incorrect way to look at, because the question paper is prepared by a pool of faculty across India from different colleges. So it's not like one college will prepare the question paper. They're just conducting authority. They will facilitate the examination and all. That's it. So don't just focus on the last time 2017 they conducted. So same pattern will be seen this year. That's wrong. So moving further, that's about the understanding of the syllabus, subjects, and how to strategize your preparation. So do this exercise. Identify or highlight the topics, numerical topics, have a special emphasis on those important ones. So accordingly, you can dedicate your time in your preparation. And most importantly, like I told you, you can see what topics are in the architecture part, for which relatively the importance has a bit reduced, like I said. So accordingly, you can strategize your preparation. But again, I'm repeating myself, do not leave out any subject completely. That would not be a right way, because you'll end up scoring less in the final. I've seen such students too. There are students who made a decision, okay, we will leave out these subjects, but they ended up getting less scores compared to students who study everything in general. There are always exceptions, but I'm talking in general. So don't leave out any subject. That is very important for this exam. As far as the free resources are considered, when you open the KP Gate classes mobile application, under our courses, in the store, you will find a course by this name, Gate AR Essentials Free Resources. The cost of it is displayed as 1 rupee, but you do not need to pay anything. Once you open this particular course, Gate AR Essentials and Free Resources, that's the name of it, the thumbnail you can see. Once you open the app and open this particular course, you will find all the required documents which are necessary for the gate examination, like energy conservation building code, the glossary of terms of acoustics, then IS code 1077, which is the standard IS code with respect to brick. Then you have IS 1742, which is the standard IS code for practice of building drainage. IS 4954, there was a direct question on IS 4954 in 2024 gate exam, 1 mark. Noise levels in urban areas. Model Building Bylaws of 2016, then National Lighting Code, which is published by Bureau of Indian Standards, National Building Code Volume 1, Volume 2, both, then obligatory functions of urban local bodies, which is under the planning part, solid waste management rules of 2016, and also URDPFI guidelines volume 1. All these documents are uploaded, and with time, if any other additional document is important or necessary, it will upload it onto the same course. So you can just download the mobile app, KP Gate Classes mobile application. You can find out the link of a mobile app on all our YouTube channel, and further you can also get in touch with the counselors too. 9560 You can contact us on that number, and you can reach out to our counselors if you need any assistance. But once you open the app, you can find all the resources for free over here in this Gate AR Essentials and Free Resources course. And these you can always have access for you for your self preparation. Now, coming to how to study. Okay, these are all the resources, huge number of documents we are already collected and have curated for you. How to study, mainly if I give you the example of NBC or IS codes, particularly these documents. So other than these, we will also add few more documents like CPWD barrier free guidelines. That is also important. It will be updated further, the list. This is a tentative list of important documents which you have to refer to. So the idea here is, when you're preparing for the examination, let us say, for example, you're having 3 hours of study every day. Just as an example, for the next 6 months, you're dedicating 3 hours of preparation every day along with your college or your job, whatever you're doing. Along with that, let us say if you're having 3 hours of time, these 3 hours you should not have a monotonous preparation just sitting and studying one topic every day. That is not how it works for competitive exams like GATE. And most importantly, to boost your own confidence in your preparation, you should try to divide your study into various areas like these 3 hours, 10 minutes every day. Make sure you practice general aptitude like I told you. 10 or 15 minutes, depending if you feel that you're weak in it, make it 20 minutes instead of 10. So at your personal level, you can make that difference, can make that change. But 10 to 20 minutes is what you need to spend every day for practicing questions of general aptitude. Then approximately, let us say 20 to 30 minutes, 20 minutes approximately, you should focus on the resources like these standard documents. What to study, I will tell you, but standard document. However, you in the under individual subject like national lighting code, it is on the topic of lighting. It will be included under it, but you can also have a brief study on national lighting code for 1 or 2 days. Now, it is a huge document. Should you study everything in that document? The answer is no, because lighting in itself is not a topic of huge weightage. If you see for the past few years, again go back to this diagram. Lighting, if you observe, 2 marks in last 2023, 2 marks in 2024. So 2 marks is the weightage. So accordingly, you should not spend huge amount of time in it, but at least 1 or 2 days for these 20 minutes. At least for 2 or 3 days, you can spend on the 20 minutes every day for at least 1 week or so on the topic of lighting or national lighting code. Just the basics of it. Now, what to study, I'll come to that. But divide your time accordingly. 15-20 minutes for general aptitude, 20-30 minutes every day for the standard documents and standards and the free resources. Other than that, a major amount of time, 1 to 2 hours, you can focus on your self study topic wise. If you're already in the classes, along with the classes, you can reduce this because already subject wise classes will be done. You are already attending the classes. So instead of 1 or 2 hours per day, you can just focus on 30 minutes of revision every day if you're having classes. But if you're not enrolled into the classes and doing your self study, 1 to 2 hours is the bare minimum. You can increase it up to 3 or 4 hours also if that is possible for you. At your personal level, you need to decide that. Other than that, around 15 to 20 minutes past gate papers, that is also very important for gate preparation. So you need to accordingly, whatever suits your timetable and whatever suits your level of knowledge and weak areas, accordingly you need to prepare a study plan. And most importantly, continuity, maintaining that study plan with very few deviations. Matlab, if you are going somewhere, if you are say missing out your preparation for few days, you should limit or minimize that for the next 6 months. If you're skipping your preparation schedule, maximum do it for on an average probably 1 day every 15 days, every fortnight, or 2 or 3 days per month. You can have a deviation, but try to stick to it as much as possible because it's not a huge amount of time. So that's how you'll need to prepare your plan, make use of the resources. Now, coming to how to make use of the standard documents like NBC and IS codes. In standard documents like National Building Code and IS codes, you always have terminology in every chapter. That terminology is very important for the theoretical part of the examination. There are many questions directly asked from the terminology of NBC into the question. Like for example, if you open the topic of elevators in the book of NBC Volume 2, the first definition itself is automatic rescue device ARD. That has been asked for 1 mark in the past gate examination. Many such questions directly from terminology are taken in the RS theoretical part. NBC, every chapter, every topic, read the terminology part. You need not sit and write all the lengthy definitions, but you'll need to spend some time and revise the basics and read the topics, read the points and definitions from it. Same thing goes for IS codes. Standards from CPWD, standards from NBC standards mainly, you can study from part 3 and part 4. That is fire safety and development control regulations. Mainly the standards of part 3 are very important. Other than that, for remaining topics, you can just focus on the terminology part. So that is how you'll need to accordingly plan your preparation for the standard documents and the study plan regarding that. As far as numerical portion is considered, so this is an example of numerical question from 2021. So the reason why I included it in this today's session is when you're preparing for numericals, don't just learn by heart the formulae. Like for example, if you look into this GATE 2021 2 marks numerical, it is given a plot of size. They have given the size. They have mentioned the FAR as 1.5, and they have said that the average monthly bill is given. Electricity bill is 2,94,000, and the unit cost is given as 7 rupees per unit. Unit in electricity is kilowatt hour. 7 rupees per kilowatt hour. That's the rate given. They're asking us the building energy index. No, it's not. There are always questions from new areas. Now, even if you don't know what is building energy index, you can still answer such numericals if you have an understanding of the measurement units. So, in the GATE examination, particularly for the numerical part, whatever you're practicing, whichever subject it is, have a special emphasis on understanding the measurement units also. Because many a time, even if you know nothing of a particular question, you can end up answering it easily if you observe. So, here, even if you don't know what is building energy index, if you look at the measurement units, kilowatt hour per square meter per year. So you understand that, okay, building energy index is nothing but the number of units of electricity consumption. Units of electricity is nothing but kilowatt hours per unit area in 1 year. So you should first find out what is the total electricity consumption in kilowatt hours in 1 year, then divided by the area of the building. That will give you the building energy index. So understand the measurement units, not in the examination, but I'm telling you in the time of preparation. During the preparation also, whatever topic you're studying, don't just randomly. I saw many students, they just try to solve the numericals without looking into the measurement units at all, because obviously, it is a NAT question where you just need to type the numerical answer. So just leave out the numerical part, the measurement units part. Don't do that. That will be an incorrect way to learn. Any subject have a special emphasis, understand the measurement units. You never know how that comes in handy in the examination. So have a special emphasis on that. That's a small tip with respect to the numerical part. As far as the revision portion is considered, now if you're starting your preparation now, your target should be to complete the syllabus by maximum of mid of January, or preferably by the month of December, end of December. Once you complete the preparation of all the 24-25 subjects, you should start your revision for at least 15 days in minimum. That's the minimum time you should spend, 15 days. But if you are starting your preparation very late, then probably you accordingly you'll need to make it 7 days of preparation also. But considering that you're starting your preparation at an ideal time like now, 6 months of preparation, last 15 days you need to have a focus on the revision part of what should you focus on during the revision, what should you revise from. The most important thing is notes. You can never revise from NBC, you can never revise from the complete study material set which you get from KP classes. Also, we give you a comprehensive study material. So just focusing on study material during revision, that becomes very difficult. whatever way you're preparing, be it in the classes or self, if you're enrolled into the classes that we already prepare a notes in the class, you also should maintain a running notes of it. So you'll have a notes already. But even if you're doing your self study, maintain a proper running notes of all the topics. That is very crucial because your self-made notes. And again, it's not like you will take a Xerox of your friend's notes. That will not at all be helpful. Notes has to be made handmade, your own handmade notes into books. Try to create different subjects, probably two or three subjects you can categorize: architecture topics, planning topics, and so on. So have your self-made notes. That is very important. And even during revision, from your self notes, you'll need to fine tune and make short notes from it during those 15 days of preparation. Also, by the end of your revision, you should have a small handbook or a small set of 20-25. There are 25 topics, probably 25 A4 sheets, with one A4 sheet for every subject, where you have a summary of important points, because that will play a very major role in revising 1 or 2 days before the examination. So basically, you need to have a notes of all your study of. Don't write lengthy paragraphs if you're studying history. Obviously, it's not required for you to draw lengthy full diagrams, like lengthy essay answers. No, that's not what. Your notes should always have bullet points highlighted with formulae, important measurement units are directly asked in the theoretical part. So these are the content which you need to have in your notes mainly. And from that, you'll need to make a short notes of 20-25 pages, which you'll need to revise 1 or 2 days before the examination. Some students make a decision that no, I'll not study anything in the last day. If you're one of those, you can revise it 2 days before the examination. So that is something which you'll need to focus on during your preparation. Uh, Srishti, you can get in touch with the counselors. They will for sure help you and may understand what you need. They will for sure help you out on what guidance can be offered from our end. Would a person be eligible for colleges or some film plan if they select architecture part? So Shruti, if you are attempting the planning part, you're eligible for all courses except for IIT Kharagpur MR course. If you're attending architecture part, you're eligible for all M-Plan and MR courses in all NITs, IITs, and SPs. I already told you that one. There's only one college where you have that rule. That is IIT Kharagpur MR, where they are mandated to attempt the architecture part. So if you're attempting architecture part, you will be eligible for every course, M-Plan, MArch, and everything, and also MTech interdisciplinary course. But if you're attempting the planning part, then you cannot get into IIT Kharagpur's MR course. That is something which you have to remember. As far as your performance analysis during the course of preparation, it is equally important to understand if you're in the right direction or not. So in that context, you can get in. You can enroll into a test series of or KP Gate classes, where you have 3,000 plus questions, subject wise, section wise, and also and also full length mocks, mini mocks, and past papers. All these are included in the test series. You can make use of that resource for your preparation. Finally, brief on the colleges. So broadly, if I mention, there's a separate session which we will have on this point, on this topic, after the gate examination. The last year's post-gate counseling is already available on the YouTube channel of ours. You can go and check that if you want a detailed analysis of the colleges. But in an overview, IITs offer MArch courses, M-Plan courses, MTech courses, and interdisciplinary courses. MTech course, like for example, construction management at IIT Madras and IIT Delhi. Architects are eligible for it, and admission will be purely based on GATE. Interdisciplinary courses like geoinformatics at IIT Bombay, or educational technology course at IIT Bombay, IIT Roorkee. There are some interdisciplinary courses. For all these, the eligibility criteria is through GATE examination directly. You can get admission into these. You can select architecture or planning part for any of these courses just for MArch at IIT Kharagpur. For that, you'll need to select architecture part B1. For all other M-Plan courses, M-Plan at Roorkee, M-Plan at Kharagpur, any other course, interdisciplinary MI, you can select B1 or B2, anything is fine. Just IIT Kharagpur MR, you have a rule that you have to select B1, architecture part. That's for IITs. As far as NITs are considered, so IITs, the admission will be through COAP. The admission common admission COAP test, right? Common Offer Acceptance Portal, it is COAP, Common Offer Acceptance Portal. That's where you will get offers of IITs and also Airport Authority of India, that is the public sector undertaking where you get jobs through GATE exam directly for architects sometimes. So that also will be through COAP. NITs, however, will give you admission through CCMT, that's the Common Counseling Portal for MTech admissions, and this also is based purely on GATE score. There are MArch courses in architect in NITs, NIT Hamirpur, NIT Trichy, you have MArch in sustainable architecture. Similarly, you have M-Plan courses also. M-Plan courses, you have it at NIT Patna, you have it NIT, even VNIT, you have various NITs with M-Plan courses and also MTech courses like construction management at NIT Suratkal, you have it, NIT Warangal, you have it, architects are eligible for it. So the NITs, now, what are the detailed courses and options you have? We'll have a detailed session on it after GATE. Meanwhile, you can have a look at the last year's post-GATE counseling session available on our YouTube channel. NITs and then SPAs. As far as SPAs are considered at SPA Delhi, the admission will be through GATE plus interview. GATE score has a 30% weightage. Remaining 70% weightage will be for portfolio, for interview, for SOP, and other aspects. And weightage in your qualifying examination, all that is given importance at SPA Delhi. 30% on an average is importance given to GATE exam. As far as SPA Vijayawada and SPA Bhopal are considered, they offer 60% of the seats of every course through CCMT. CCMT was for NITs. So this will be purely based on GATE without any interview. Based on your GATE score, 60% of the seats will be filled. The remaining 40% of the seats at SPA, Vijayawada and Bhopal, they will be filled through direct admission, direct test plus interview. Without any GATE score, even if if you're not qualified in GATE, you can still apply for these 40%. But there's a problem here. In these 40% of these seats, you will not get any stipend. There is no stipend for all other courses. And at SPA Delhi, 60% of the seats at SPA Vijayawada and Bhopal, where your admission is through GATE, IITs where your admission is through GATE, you will get a stipend of 12,400 per month, every month, for the next 2 years of your master's study. That will not be given for these 40% students who are getting admission into SPA Vijayawada or Bhopal through direct admission without GATE score. You have to qualify GATE to be eligible for that stipend. That is mandatory as per the ministry's guidelines. So that's an overview on the colleges briefly. I hope the session was useful and helpful for you. If anyone has a question, probably when shall test series be most useful? So Kartikeya, the test series involves topic-wise questions, full-length mocks, past papers, mini mocks. So at this point of time of these 6 months of preparation, you can focus on the topic-wise tests. Mock test you need to practice in the month of December and January. So test series has everything which you need to make use of right away from now. It's not like you will use in the last, because there are 3,000 questions. Even if you're solving 50 questions per day, it will basically even if you're so it's like 3,000 questions, probably 100 questions per day will take you 1 month, right? So 100 questions obviously will not be 50 questions. Even if you're doing it, will take you 2 months. And that continuity you will not spend throughout your preparation, right? So you should start using your test series at the earliest actually. Final score, how much do I need to study to get 80 to 90? Avipriya, so because you already have an idea of how much you scored last year, just see where you have lost your marks. Focus on those especially on those areas. It's not, I cannot give you a time how much to focus on, but you should understand what are your weak areas and work on those in these 6 months of preparation. I think that should be helpful. Uh, Interdisciplinary. So Shubham, for courses, as I told you, we have a detailed session already on the YouTube channel. You can have a look at it. That was not the main focus of today's session, so I did not talk much about of the admissions. Uh, Shreya, for SPA Delhi, other than GATE, there will be an interview, statement of purpose, portfolio. These are the criteria. And other than that, your college score, your BArch score or B plan score, portfolio, statement of purpose, BArch score, interview of the of SPA Delhi, GATE. All these criteria are considered. Parvati, no, there are no major international universities considering GATE, particularly in architecture and planning. No. Uh, Darshit, I think there are 10 mocks. You can have a look at it, and mocks will generally be added for the last 10 weeks of the examination. Every week you'll get a new mock. That's how it is. I think 8 or 10 mocks are included in the test series. Navya, you just need to qualify. There is no weightage on, there's no rule on how much you should score. If you qualify GATE, you will be eligible for the stipend. PSUs, as I told you, Airport Authority of India is the only PSU which records the gate. Last time they did was in the year 2022. Next year they might take up again. So it depends. And this year too, actually, 2024 they had recorded. So every year, once the gate exam is done, they'll release a notification and they will release the number of openings at Airport Authority of India. There will be no interview. If you are having good gate rank, you will directly be selected for that public sector undertaking. Only at Airport Authority of India it is, at least in the recent times. Uh, Darshit, no, I think your mocks you can attempt only once. However, you can review it where you have gone wrong. You can look at the detailed explanations and all. Every test on a test series, you can attempt it once, but you can review it as many times as you want. Where you have gone wrong, what are the explanations that you can do as many times as possible. So that was all for today. I hope the session was helpful for you. Any further doubts you have, you can reach out to our counselors on 9560 252 666. You can easily get a contact on a YouTube channel also. You can reach out to our counselors if you have any further query.
KP classes dedicated to excellence.